This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you feel like your best, fam, you can do anything. You can accomplish all those goals in your life, make sure your family's good, and even start, who knows, a mildly successful podcast. Sometimes life gets you bogged down. You might feel overwhelmed. You're not showing up every day the way that you want to. But working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of you. Because when you feel empowered, you're more prepared to take on everything that life throws at you. The benefits of therapy are endless. It's great to just check in with somebody who can give you some perspective on life. Make sure that you're meeting all the goals that you've set for yourself in life. So whether or not you've been in therapy, now could be the time to give BetterHelp a shot. It's convenient, flexible, affordable, and entirely online. Just fill out their brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Couldn't be easier. If you want an empowered life, therapy can get you there. So visit BetterHelp.com/madaboutmovies today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/madaboutmovies. Hey guys, by the way, happy 50.
Oh, is this our 50th episode? Wow.
50.
Dang.
Half a hundred.
Half a hundy.
What president is on the 50?
Oh,
Grant?
wow. Yeah, I was exactly what I was gonna say. I think it's Grant. Good call. It is Ulysses S. Grant. Good job, Brian.
Boom. History nerd.
No one knows his currency like Brian Kill. I love currency.
Ladies and gentlemen, run around Stonehenge naked. I'm Kent Garrison.
I'm Brian Gill.
And I'm Richard Hemsworth.
And this is Mad
About
Movies.
You sound insane. You realize that? Yeah. The whole world gone crazy! Ladies and germs! It's showtime.
Mad About Movies is your go-to movie podcast for all things concerning the world of cinema. We talk movie news, movie rumors, and movie rumblings, and then we break down our given movie of the week. Stay tuned for the end of the show. You will hear our weekly recommends. Also, make sure to like us on iTunes. Give us those 5 stars. Go to madaboutmoviespodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter. All that good stuff. Brian, this week's movie of the week is
Marvel's Thor: The Dark World.
Some believe that before the universe, there was nothing. They're wrong. There was darkness, and it has survived.
So, guys, I guess if you release a comic book movie sequel, it has to have the word dark in there somewhere.
Yes.
Mandatory.
Requirement.
So it's Dark Knight Rises. We've got Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah.
You get Thor: The Dark World. Any more dark?
Iron Man 3, Darky Dark. Dark.
Well, guys, before we dive into the movie news, rumors, rumblings, I want to give a shout-out on the podcast. This guy left a 5-star review on iTunes, so if you leave a 5-star review, we'll shout you out, too. His review subject is the unofficial podcast of MacGruber, Vin Diesel, and Star Wars. Okay, first of all, wrong.
Yeah, we're official.
We're the
guys.
official
Come on.
podcast of MacGruber, Vin Diesel, and Star Wars. And if you can find a more official MacGruber podcast, please.
I defy you.
Please, you're welcome to unsubscribe to our podcast.
Right.
And tell us what it is so that we can subscribe to it.
Right.
But yeah, thank you for the awesome review. Token and Broken was your username. And I like the quote. He said, "The Now You See Me podcast had me dying with laughter. Keep up the good work, guys."
My
So,
only question
you
that
get our
is
vote.
which one, because we talked about Now You See Me in...
Yeah, he probably only listened to last week's episode, and we talked about it so much that he assumed it was our Now You See Me episode.
Right.
Tuned out immediately after the Now You See Me review. Awesome. But yeah, thanks for doing that. And so leave us an awesome review like that on iTunes, and you too could have your name forever etched in Mad About Movies history. So there you go.
Man. Dude, another shout out. Our loyal listener, Emily Tate, sent me a text this morning and said she was listening to Kid Craddock and or whatever that show is now. May you rest in peace. And they had Forte. Speaking of MacGruber, they had Forte.
What?
On Kid Craddock. Yeah. It turns out it was like a flashback interview from a couple of weeks ago when I think he was promoting Nebraska, perhaps. So anyway, but he said the MacGruber sequel was, quote, his deepest desire. So,
we share that in common, Will.
Yeah,
I desire that at all hours.
That's what I said.
It gave me goosebumps just now.
I know.
His deepest desire.
Is it sad that I would say the same thing with zero irony?
No.
Like, that is what I want most in the world. Like, I would take... I mean, like, sure, I want there to be no more hunger or cancer, but not more than I want a MacGruber movie.
Another MacGruber movie.
Yeah.
We've already gotten one.
Right.
I think America would take to it the second time around.
Yeah, I do too. It's kind of become a comedic classic. The world just wasn't ready for it. So they wrote it off, you know?
This Emily Tate person, I have to run a test on her.
Right.
So she's a female?
She is.
With the name Emily? Uh-huh. And is she a MacGruber fan?
I think she's more of a fan of ours, less... Okay. Well, I see where you're getting at, Richard, but as we all know, there are no female MacGruber.
Yeah, they don't exist. This is why I like... Yeah.
I know you got excited there for a second, but no.
I consider... No, I'd be kind of like weirded out, you know. If she's like, but I consider myself a scientist of these things, and I just need to know, you know, for my research, if there's a new female MacGruber fan. But hey, thanks for...
There's not an outlier or something, so...
Yeah, definitely. I'm always in search. It's like Bigfoot.
Right. Yes.
Always. That's what I never got about the Finding Bigfoot show. Like, you know they're not going to find him, so why tune in? It's not like you're going to be like, oh man, I missed the episode where they actually found Bigfoot. I didn't DVR that one. Man.
There's 64 episodes of this, and I missed the one.
Amazing. But guys, is a MacGruber miniseries out of the question?
I'd go straight to Netflix for MacGruber.
Totally.
They should
I want a sequel.
Yeah, or like Sherlock and do like 3 mini movies.
You mean 3 movies that are the exact same length of the original MacGruber?
Yeah, exactly. It fits the format perfectly. They could do you know, a little mini series of MacGruber. I'd actually be more pumped about that.
Great segue, Richard.
It's always a great segue with groups.
So let's talk a little movie news.
Movie news.
Yes!
Rumors and rumbling.
That's awesome!
Let the filibustering begin.
So speaking of the exclusive Netflix series, a bombshell was kind of dropped last week. Literally a couple hours after we recorded last week's podcast, or I think we would have talked about this. The Disney just wasn't happy enough with confirming that Star Wars would come out over Christmas of 2015. They also dropped the bombshell of the 4 Marvel series that are going to be exclusive to Netflix over the next couple years. I don't believe we talked about that last week, did we?
No, we didn't.
Okay, good. So, did you guys hear about this, Brian? Anybody?
Yes.
What are your thoughts, Brian?
I look, some of these side characters almost, because do you have the list of the 4 shows that they're going to make? Because I don't remember, but I remember looking at it and thinking, I don't really know who most of these are, but they could make for interesting 6 to 10 episode little mini seasons that they wouldn't make for. They might make for interesting, but they probably would not make for supremely successful movies. You know what I mean? So by all means, explore these side characters in a different medium than trying to base an entire film around whatever, Doctor Strange or any of these other side characters, smaller characters.
Is it too late to make a Captain America one of these?
Seriously. Captain America kind of already feels to me like a miniseries. It's still such a B character in my eyes that it doesn't really feel... Like, even when these movies come out, like Captain America comes out in a wider release, I still feel like it's like a small release. You know what I mean? Like, they don't put near the juice behind, like, Thor even, that they would for they did for Thor that they would for Captain America. I don't think so. I don't think Captain America they still consider one of their prized heroes. But, so the list of heroes is, there's 4 of them. It's Daredevil, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, also known as
January Jones.
I think I dated her at some point. Yeah.
Jessica. No, also known as Jewel, Nitrous, and Power Woman. Those are her aliases.
What?
And Luke Cage, also.
Isn't he from Mortal Kombat?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe. I haven't memorized all the.
That's Johnny Cage. My fault.
Johnny Cage. Just anything last name Cage is awesome.
Always going to be Mortal Kombat to me.
Nicolas Cage, you know.
Yep. So far your theory's holding up.
So the notable aliases of him is Power Man. So it's Power Woman and Power Man each getting their own.
What about Power Man 5000? Are they involved?
That's the second Power Man 5000 reference in the history of this podcast.
Believe it or not, yeah, not the first time we've mentioned that name.
Yeah. I referenced it when we talked about Riddick, because I felt like the action sequences looked like a Power Man 5000 video.
That's exactly. I wish I listened to this show. Hilarious.
I think they actually did the score for Riddick. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, totally, dude. Oh, yeah. Them are like Mudvayne.
And G.I. Joe Retaliation was
Mudvayne shout out.
You guys are funny. This is a good show. I'm going to leave us a review.
So I heard the only exciting news coming out of this is I saw that Drew Goddard is doing the Daredevil series.
Yeah.
He did Cabin in the Woods and
Oh yeah, I like him.
Stuff. So he's going to make it probably pretty fun, I would say.
Daredevil's a good choice. It really is. I don't think you could do a movie about Daredevil because there's still such a stink in everybody's post from that original one with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner or whatever. But that's a good character. There's a lot you could do with it. So I think the miniseries or the Netflix series or whatever you want to call it, whatever it turns out to really be, that's a good idea. It's a good way to go. And people were freaking out about whatever her name is, January Jones or Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones, yeah.
Were
they?
Yeah,
she has to do with, I think she's from Alias, maybe?
Yeah, whatever it is, I have no idea, but my Twitter feed went nuts with people just, this is exactly what Marvel should be doing, and this is going to be a great character, and so, yeah, I don't have any idea, but I know that all the nerds that I follow on Twitter were really excited about it.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited for the Iron Fist show just because it's martial arts like themed kind of. It's kind of the side of the Wolverine movie that we saw, like the kung fu Marvel side that we never see.
Is the RZA gonna star like he did in The Man with the Iron Fist?
Hope so.
I never saw that. Unfortunately,
no. It's actually Inspector Deck and other members of the Wu-Tang Clan.
All right,
it's only starring Raekwon the Chef and U-God, unfortunately.
Nice.
Good. Nice name drops, Richard. Impressive.
Hey, seriously. Old Dirty B, Inspector Deck, Raekwon the Chef, U-God, Ghostface Killer, and the Method Man.
Nice.
Man,
nice.
I grew up in the 90s.
That movie's terrible, but it does have an awful lot of Wu-Tang songs, so that's, you know.
You can't go wrong.
That's the best part.
It's kind of like how I like to live my life. Like, Richard was terrible, but he listened to a lot of Wu-Tang Clan.
Let's cue up the sad music for this one. It's
Look at this photograph. Every time and then it makes me laugh.
All right, that's enough. We get it. Oh, that is sad music.
You need to play Time of Your Life during whatever we're about to talk about. You need a little Green Day in the background.
Hey, not messing with you guys. I was topping around online the other day. A friend sent me this link. This does exist. I know you got Brian. You're married. Kent and I are still single.
Right.
But we look to experience wedded bliss one day. But don't do it.
On
People Magazine's website, there's Chad Kroeger and Avril Lavigne's keys to successful marriage.
Oh gosh.
So I'll make sure I send that over.
Sweet.
So your weekly recommend is
yeah.
It's a little early
Number
this
1,
week.
wear chainmail all the time. Number 2.
No, it's worse.
I still don't believe that that's a real couple.
Their pictures are so funny.
Yeah, it's not real.
I'm gonna send it over.
They look photoshopped together. They really do.
Yeah.
There's no way they're actually marrying each other.
Yeah.
Well,
amazing.
And
anything can happen, guys. If you're depressed at home, no one will talk to you. Just remember, Chad Kroeger married Avril Lavigne.
That's right.
Your Avril's out there, and ladies, so's your Chad.
Vice versa. So, guys, the sad news. I know we all grew up in the 90s, Richard, as you mentioned before. And a staple of my 90s life.
Yes.
was
I wanted to talk
Blockbuster-
about this with you guys. Yes.
The Blockbuster Video.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, mine too.
So
Rest in
Blockbuster
peace.
Video officially closed its 300 remaining stores. Believe it or not, they did still have stores open, physical locations. There was a few around me that I didn't notice really until this last week. I was like, oh, there's a Blockbuster there.
Yeah.
They were just kind of tucked away in the corner for so long. But I tried to run by and hit up their last minute DVD sales and all that. Didn't get a chance to do that. Should have done it. I'm an idiot. But so apparently the last movie, very fittingly, the last movie you ever rented at Blockbuster was This Is the End, starring
Weekend at Bernie's
Seth
too.
Rogen.
Oh, no. Okay.
So very fitting end to Blockbuster's amazing yet groundbreaking
Right.
history in the
Yeah. Nothing to be ashamed of.
movie rental business.
Made
So
some
Brian, what did you
mistakes.
want to talk about this?
No, I just think it needed to
Blockbuster
be...
memories.
Look, I love Blockbuster. I went to Blockbuster all the time when I was a teenager and into my mid-20s. I mean, one summer, I think it was a summer. One summer in like 2007, I want to say, they started doing a deal where you could basically get unlimited movies for $20 a month or something to that degree.
Right,
And there was a Blockbuster right up the street from my apartment, and I didn't have a job, and I don't even think I had cable at that time. And so all I did was just like you could only rent like 3 at a time, and so I would just rent 3 movies, watch them. I would go back to Blockbuster like 3 or 4 times a day, occasionally, and just plow through a lot of terrible movies. But no, I mean, Blockbuster was a major, huge influence on, I would guess, on all 3 of us. Just being able to take in that many movies, and at times for very cheap, at times not for very cheap. And I think that's a big part of why Blockbuster failed, is because they never could figure out, the last like 10 years, they couldn't figure out a real business plan. And so you never knew. I think that was my lasting frustration with Blockbuster. I think the last time I rented something, I went in and suddenly everything had gone from like $2 for one night to $5 for one night, and you're like, I don't know what's happening here anymore. So that they screwed themselves with bad business plans. But man, huge part of my I hate to say childhood, but my growing up.
First place, a lot of memories there. Blockbuster is the first place I was ever vomited on. True story, vomited on by a projectile, like in my face. My mother and I vomited on by an employee. But no, me too. I mean, every weekend was marked by, a trip to Blockbuster to get a game or a movie. Yep. And then I had the pleasure and the honor, because I'm a hero, of then using my 2 VCRs to make an illegal copy of whatever I had rented.
Right.
Back in the day. No, it was a, that is like such a touchstone. Maybe more, I probably spent more time, and granted, I've not been in there in years, but more time in Blockbuster Video maybe than I've spent in any store in my lifetime. Yeah. And that record may stick because I don't go to stores anymore.
Right.
So it's,
maybe that's why it's shutting down, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely. They had a chance to buy Netflix, I know, in 2000 for like $10 million or something. And, obviously corporate-wise, business-wise, that's a mistake. But they were always going to be – they should be happy with their 30-year reign as Blockbuster. I mean, they were everywhere. They were the predominant name in movie rental. And historic – history will look kindly upon them. A very important business in American history. And, it sounds pretentious to say. That's because it is pretentious to say. But, how many artists that we appreciate to this day are artists because of Blockbuster Video? Or how many podcasters that, may not have been podcasters without place. Very influential company. Apparently terrible to work for. I knew a bunch of people that have worked for Blockbuster.
Yeah, they're based in Dallas here, so.
and everyone always like wanted to just kill themselves after working there.
Yeah.
But that's retail at its finest. But it will be missed. It will be that logo. I imagine the first time I see it in 5 or 10 years will be kind of surreal to see. But good run. Well done, Blockbuster.
So I always knew it was going to be a special night when I got to go to Blockbuster, because normally my parents only would let us go to the grocery store or the library or the video updates and Hollywood videos of the world, because Blockbuster was seriously like $5.99 for one movie for a while. And I think that drove a lot of people away. And the late fees, remember their whole late fee marketing campaign, no late fees? And
I remember
somebody sued them because of a late fee or something.
I have several friends, and am related to one of them, that have had police show up because of Blockbuster late fees in the 90s. The legacy of other people in my family and friends. But yeah, I have a good friend, Kenny, that also he had the police show up one day demanding. I remember we got a bunch of letters.
What movie was it? Please tell me.
No, I don't know what Kenny's was, but I can tell you I remember distinctly when my parents split up when I was a kid. My mom laughing maniacally because we got this mail from my dad and from Blockbuster demanding for their copy of The Rocketeer back.
It's like, look, we'll give you $4 to replace the tape. Just get off our back.
But it wasn't, dude. They would charge you $80 if you kept it. I mean, it was brutal. It's like $80 for a freaking VHS.
And there were those weird things that you'd slip through the cracks. I remember you used to be able to rent game systems.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I never had I had PlayStation. Whatever the contemporary was of
First time I ever played Virtual Boy was rented from Blockbuster.
Oh, I did that same thing too.
Remember that system?
Yeah, great weekend.
It was all red.
Yeah, terrible. But I rented an N64 for some game, as almost like a birthday present, and that wasn't available on whatever the contemporary of N64 was, and they just never called me, and I just kept that N64. I still have that N64 to this day. Yeah. Somehow it wasn't checked out right. I don't know, but still got it. So again, Richard Barton putting Blockbuster out of business.
Right.
Just at a time.
Amazing. Incredible. I think I went to one closing a couple years ago, and I got Inglourious Bastards on Blu-ray for $1. Seriously, $1. I was like, I'll take this and leave and never come here again. Awesome. So R.I.P. Blockbuster. We had good times.
Yeah.
Hopefully it makes a resurgence someday. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Yeah. Do y'all use any kind of store or anything like that, like physical media to rent movies, or is it all just streaming or illegal downloads or whatever?
I'll use Redbox on occasion.
Okay. Yeah, I do. If I rent, I'll go Redbox.
Yeah.
Usually. Or I'll just hit up Netflix. If it's not on Netflix, probably iTunes is my next go-to place. And probably then Amazon Instant would be another place I would look. Before I'd probably drive and go to an actual movie rental place. But there's a used movie place over around us, like Movie Trading Company and places like that, where I'll just go spend $5 and buy it if I'm going to rent it.
Yeah.
If it's a movie that I know I'll probably going to end up want to have for kids someday, if it's a family type movie, or just myself because I love movies and stuff. So if it's worth it, I'll just spend $5 on a used copy on Amazon for $1 to ship to me or whatever. So
right.
What about you,
there's
Brian?
other ways.
What are your habits?
Yeah, I do. I know that I'm rare, but I've said before on the show, I'm sure I will be the last person going into these stores, because I love the randomness of the physical storefront of a bookstore or a record store or a video store. There's a family. I go to Family Video, and what I do is at Family Video you can, which there's several in the Metroplex. It's a mom and pop. I mean, it's like a franchise mom and pop, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but no, they offer a deal where it's for I don't know, $15 or something, you can get half price rentals for a month. And I basically, like, 3 times a year, I'll take a couple of days of vacation because I have so much vacation and nowhere to go. And I'll just go and, like, okay, I'm going to pay my $15 for half-price rentals, and I'll rent 20 movies over, a week and just play complete catch-up on all that stuff. But I don't do the Redbox thing. I don't know what it is. I've just never... I don't do it. Yeah, I don't know. Part of it is because, like, by the time it gets to Redbox, usually it's like a month old, and if I really wanted to see it, then I've already seen it. If not, then I can wait for Netflix or something. But I don't know. And also, you guys probably know I'm uncomfortable with people. I don't like people very much, and
there's always someone at the Redbox.
Yeah, and it's always like. I mean, look, I don't want to sound like a terrible person, but it's always somebody that I do not want to talk to that is in line at the Redbox. And
your euphemisms for Asians, Brian, are not fooling anybody. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm the same way. It's the worst, but at the same time, there's a
family. Yeah, like there's a family of like 6 children fighting over what movie they're going to rent, and it's a mom is like blowing cigarette smoke directly into the child's mouth, like Buster and Lucille Bluth, and I don't know. I just can't handle it.
The best part about my house is that I live in walking distance to a Redbox.
That's nice, yeah.
So I will literally...
And a hookah bar, so there's that.
Nice. Me and Corey hitting it up with all of our, Turkish friends. But, I'll just walk over there and grab a movie if I'm in the mood, or a video game. Because I play probably about 7 hours of video games a year, which is just enough to Redbox, but not enough to ever like buy a video game. Sure. So I'm all about Redbox video. When NBA 2K stuff comes out or Madden, I'll just Redbox it, play it, and then take it back the next day. Because
if you like judging people, just go to a Redbox because I just rain judgment on people for the movies that they choose to rent.
Me too, and loudly.
And the reasons they choose to rent them too, so it's great. Oh, this one has Rachel McAdams from The Notebook.
Yeah. How dare you?
And then credit card is swiped before they even know what the movie's called.
Well, Health Inspector was pretty good, so, I mean, this got to be a pretty good Larry the Cable Guy movie.
Yeah. Every direct-to DVD, it's like, oh, this one has Russell Crowe, so it's got to be good, even though it only came out in Australia for, like, a week. And some Dead Man Down, you know that movie? That's what I'm talking about. Colin Farrell and, like, Russell Crowe.
Just added that to my Netflix queue.
Boom. Well, I know you'll watch it, Brian. You watch everything.
Yeah, it'll be part of my catch-up at the end of the year.
So we'll do our Dead Man Down podcast next week.
Right.
Hey, what's up, Mam Fam? Kent here. And yes, if you're hearing from me, you know it's time to talk about Blue Apron. If you haven't tried out Blue Apron by now, what the heck are you even doing? Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. They deliver fresh meals straight to your door. All the food is fresh. It's sourced from local farms. And there's no wasted ingredients. I've been a Blue Apron subscriber for a long time now, and they have still, to this day, never let me down. There's tons of variety. Some featured upcoming meals include summer vegetable and egg paninis, soy glazed pork and rice cakes, skillet vegetable chili with cheddar drop biscuits, holy crap, and garlic butter shrimp and corn with green bean salad. So take it from me. Try out Blue Apron now. Go to blueapron.com/mad. That's blueapron.com/mad. Get 3 meals on us for free. Nothing goes better with a movie than dinner. So check out Blue Apron. blueapron.com/mad. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Hey, Mam Fam, question for you. Do you own a small business, or are you a boss? Are you looking to hire awesome people, but you just can't find somebody to fill that role? Well, let me tell you about ZipRecruiter.com. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100+ job sites, all with one click. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. Right now, you can post your jobs for free on ZipRecruiter by going to ZipRecruiter.com/mad. That's ZipRecruiter, ZipRecruiter.com/mad. One more time, try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/mad. Thanks to ZipRecruiter for supporting this episode of the Mad About Movies podcast. All right,
Can't
guys,
wait.
let's talk about Thor.
You must be truly desperate to come to me for help.
If we do nothing, they will destroy us.
You even think about betraying him.
And I'll kill you.
All right, well, guys, Richard, I know you especially. You're a Thor fan, randomly.
I like Thor.
You do.
Is that random? Do you find that random that I'm a Thor
Yeah,
fan?
I mean, I think you've made it clear a couple of times on this podcast and on the radio that Thor was like your favorite Marvel movie.
Yeah.
It was like...
Well, there's a whole lot of sexy in it, and the girls aren't bad looking either. I think... No, I love Thor. I don't know why. I just find it really enjoyable.
Nice.
Like more than any other Marvel movie, I find them to be the perfect mixture of like sci-fi and kind of pop culture, poppy. They're very easy to watch. And the more you watch that first Thor, the more you appreciate it, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's go through first impressions now. Brian Gill, start us off here. Just give us your overall thoughts on Thor: The Dark World and talk about your love for the original Thor and all that good stuff. So
Yeah, I'm with you, Richard. It's not my favorite, but it is the original Thor. It gets better every time I watch it, and I really I'll let you bring up the points that you like to make about Thor, but you've opened my eyes to a couple of different things that go on in that movie, and the fact that it's good because it's got such a higher level of difficulty than some of the other movies pull up. But yeah, it gets better every time I watch it, and I've gotten to where really the only part that is not good about that movie is the lack of chemistry between Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, put me in that role. God,
right,
give
exactly.
Some chemistry. I mean, her. I give her some chemistry.
But so yeah, I've come to really appreciate that one more than I did upon first viewing. I want to say and hope that will be the same with this movie, because I really did not like this movie at all. I won't call it a bad movie, but there's a lot of. I'll just say it's very blah. It's very generic, and I would say lifeless is the biggest thing to me. It just feels very stale and hollow, and I'm disappointed. And I came out thinking it was okay, but it wasn't, whatever. It was fine. And I started talking to a buddy of mine who had seen it the day before, and the more I talked about it, the more I just was like, no, you know what? I don't think that was a good movie, and I'm very disappointed in where we've landed with this film.
Sure. And I want to echo some stuff you said, Brian, for sure, before we move on. You said a word what did you say, lifeless?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a word. The ones I wrote down were uninspired and convenient.
That's a good one.
And convenient for some plot points that I can talk about here in a minute. But I like your lifeless is a good word, because this was the first movie from Marvel that I've seen since this, since I really took off here, since just Iron Man came out. This immediate, these last 5 immediate movies, including the Avengers. It's the first one that's like truly felt like they were just going through the motions or something.
Yeah.
And it truly felt like they were just, all right, let's make another Thor movie and put it out,
Right.
It didn't.
Right.
And the more I think about it compared to this one, the more I like the original Thor. Like,
sure.
The original Thor is so much better than this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't Branagh come back? Was that his choice?
He was back, but he dropped out of the Dark World, like midway through making this movie.
Really good job with that first one.
Yeah, he did. He really did. And so, yeah, I went back and watched that before I saw this one. It just doesn't compare. This just feels just so small for a Marvel movie. I just expected so much more from this, I guess, than we got. It was a lot of Asgard. Like,
yes,
it felt like it felt like mainly the love scenes from Attack of the Clones with Queen Amidala and for half of it, mixed with like Lord of the Rings hobbits, like a ton of names and elves and things. So it was just very super or more fantasy than I thought it should have been. I thought it should have been more comic book and sci-fi, but it was very much fantasy. It wasn't very dark. I didn't really understand the villain in it. It was kind of a goo was the villain in here. So those are my immediate thoughts. It's not a bad movie because it's well made. It's what you'll see in every superhero movie that you see. I mean, it's probably actually more well done than a lot that I've seen. I mean, the CGI is good. It dazzles the eye at certain moments, but it overall just you got to do better than your first movie. I'm sorry, you got to. Just give me something. The first one was just so much more exciting and fun, and I don't know. This is just way too different from what I grew to like about the first one. So, Richard,
best movie ever. No, I actually will echo. As much as I love Thor, the first one, and I love Hemsworth, and I love all the parts of this movie. I love, like Kent, you said the cinematography and the effects are very cool. There's a lot of really good parts of this, but you're right. It doesn't come together well. I think losing Brenna. I think Brenna was such a unique choice for Thor to direct it, and his kind of sensibility brought a lot to it that I think was the main thing lacking from this movie. Especially just directing the performances. The performances seemed, with the exception of Hemsworth, who's always good, but the performances seemed a lot more wooden than they did in the first movie. Yeah. It might be the script, things like that. And obviously this with Iron Man 3, I mean, I'm not too wowed so far with this Marvel Universe 2.0. And some of the conceits that they have to give up for whatever this plot is going to be are kind of silly compared to, I mean, look, it's a comic movie. I'm willing to believe anything, but I think that first plotting of the first, group of movies was so good that this is kind of a little bit of a letdown. It's still better than most things that come out, but I mean, we'll grade it. I won't give away my grade on it, but yeah, definitely substantially worse than the first Thor. Still better, I thought, than the Captain America movie, maybe, and on par maybe with Iron Man 3. But you're right, very formulaic. But, like I said, I don't know if they give them a chance to not be formulaic because they're so beholden to this grand plot that these movies are going to take for Avengers that I think it's hard not to be formulaic when trying to resolve things for that plot. But I'm willing to be convinced otherwise. But yes, definitely a step in the wrong direction for, the Asgardian one.
Sure. So I don't know if you guys saw, but I saw before the movie even started, we got a 5-minute look at the new Captain America. Did you guys see the extended preview for it?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't get that either.
Okay.
No.
Well, I was in like a sort of a faux IMAX screening, like Extreme Digital or something.
Ugh. Yeah.
I
avoided it this time.
So it was in 3D. I didn't want to see it in 3D, but it's weird. It's weird how the most overpriced one is always the one that falls within my schedule. It's like the only time I can see it. I have to pay the extra $8 to see a 4-foot bigger screen. Great, thanks guys.
Totally
it does not make that much of a difference. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it really doesn't. So no, we got like a whole scene from. I guess it's a scene. I don't know if it's going to be in the movie from the Winter Soldier, and kind of an extended trailer look at the Winter Soldier. And I got to say, it looked better than the Thor trailer. The Dark World. This movie didn't really have me excited coming in. No. I gotta admit. But the new Captain America looks pretty cool. Like it looks like sort of a S.H.I.E.L.D. movie, like with Captain America.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Captain America is big enough or good enough, and I don't think Marvel feels like he is either to warrant like his own like serious franchise. But he does so well, like in the company of other people and heroes, like he did in the Avengers, was awesome. So like the Winter Soldier is going to be in this, and there's a lot. I mean, the trailer was pumping like Scarlett Johansson and Samuel L. Jackson, huge.
Yeah, I think ScarJo
like,
might even be the love interest in that one.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks exciting, and it's that's coming out just here in the first quarter of 2014, so that'll be a good one to look out for. And we'll talk about Captain America here in a minute. But I kind of enjoyed how the movie started, I'll admit, with Loki in chains. Walking up just like the end of the Avengers when he left in chains from New York. I like how they kept that together there. There were kind of a lot of references to the Avengers in this. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt like there were 4 or 5 times.
Iron Man was the same way. With
I feel like there was like 1 or 2, maybe with just a little kid. But
remember they kept asking him about like what it was like when he went into space, and maybe I'm thinking of more than.
Oh, and he was like having the flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
So it just felt more trying to be associated with the Avengers more than Iron Man did.
Yes.
To me.
Yeah.
And
yes.
For other reasons. Spoilers coming up now for Thor. If you like Thor, go see it. I'll say that. But
yeah, definitely worth to see.
It's worth a see if you're a Thor fan, for sure. So, yeah, the Captain America little cameo, not really a cameo, but Loki, I guess, turns into Captain America just jokingly for a second. I don't know I see why they did that. It didn't really get a laugh in my theater because we had already seen Captain America's the trailer before the movie, so it wasn't like, oh, Captain America. Yeah. Because we were kind of like, oh, him again, sweet. So there were moments like that. What did you not like specifically, Brian? Anything stick out to you?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot that I really was not fond of. I thought they hid Hemsworth, which bothers me because we've talked about before. I think Chris Hemsworth is a movie star, and there aren't many movie stars anymore. And they like the first movie really gives him an opportunity to act and to show off some of his talent, I feel like. In Avengers, he had a smaller role, but it was the same thing. I really felt like this entire movie he just spent just swinging his hammer around the whole time, and there really wasn't no double entendre intended, but there really wasn't much acting for him to do. I don't understand why this planet, I guess, if you want to call it, this world within the Marvel Universe can't figure out how to develop ancillary characters. But I really, if you just gave me Thor and Loki, you could take every single one of these characters and flush them, and I wouldn't even, I would have no complaints whatsoever. I don't understand what the point of casting an Academy Award winning, very good actress like Natalie Portman in a role that you give her absolutely nothing to do. And that was my main complaint with the first Thor, was just like, what, they don't know what to do with her. That extends to this movie. I thought it was honestly, and I should preface by saying there was a group of teenagers skipping school in my theater, and so I sat as far away from them as I could. So I sat at like the top row in a very large theater, which is not always the best view, I guess, of the screen.
Oh yeah,
but it was
it's the best view for creepers.
Right. I found this to be a
corner.
Nice. I found
doing an afternoon show to Thor, kids.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
You skipping high school? I went to high school once.
All right.
The year was 2003.
Anyway, I found that to be a kind of ugly movie and a dark movie. It looked to me like something. I saw it in 2D. Honestly, just visually, it looked like a movie that was sloppily post-converted to 3D in post-production, and as such was just very kind of dark and ugly. I didn't care for that. And again, just the entire this movie I think you said, maybe it was you, Richard, you kind of said that they're striving really hard to connect it to the Avengers, and I think the reason for that is because I think every other Marvel movie had legs to stand on its own. It was interconnected to its own world and to the Marvel universe, but it could be a standalone decent movie. This is so standalone that it doesn't really have any impact to the first movie and to the world and the universe in which it lives. My meaning of that is this could have been like, I really feel like almost that this script was just some kind of strange cross between this, just like you said, Ken, a sci-fi movie and a Lord of the Rings knockoff that they then kind of turned into a Thor movie. It doesn't really have any stakes, and it doesn't have any bearing on the Marvel universe as a whole. Does that make sense? Am I just completely off?
Yeah, totally.
And lastly, I think the first movie, the reason that it is so accessible when it really shouldn't be, and why it gets better with every viewing, is because because Branagh made it a movie that felt like it mattered to Earth, I guess, what happened in this movie, or in that movie. This one does not. There's way too much Asgard. There's way too much off-planet stuff happening. I really think they missed an opportunity to kind of start where they ended. Spoiler, but basically, you go through this movie with Thor is supposed to be the king, and he's going to get promoted to king pretty soon here. And then at the end, he bails on that and says, "No, I've got to protect the realm. I can't be on the throne." Blah blah blah. I think that the way to do this movie and really this franchise moving forward is to basically make it clear that Thor cares more about Earth than he does any of the other realms that he has reign over, and therefore he's got to spend all of his time protecting Earth. Whereas this was all about, let me protect Asgard, let me protect my homeland, all this sort of thing, and it loses accessibility to the point. I almost fell asleep. Like, I really just got to a point where I didn't care what was happening anymore, and I've never felt that way with a Marvel movie to this point. Sorry, I just rambled on for like 20 minutes, but there were a lot of flaws with this movie.
I feel you. And I use the word convenient in my initial thoughts, and I'll like to explain myself now. Like in Now You See Me, we talked about the GPS dot tracker.
Yes.
I felt like in this movie they needed to explain so many things for a reason for Natalie Portman's character to be there, and and Kat Dennings, by the way, who serves no purpose in Thor 1, let alone Thor 2.
And they brought in another one.
They bring back a love interest for her. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so annoying. That part should have just been deleted from the movie. That whole Kat Dennings is just no point at all. But anyway, so...
I can think of a couple points.
No. So...
Sorry.
So to me, in order to meet up with Kat Dennings' character, she has like Natalie Portman's character has like a device that reads like portals, a portal detector.
Yeah, I'm with you. So,
and so do those exist? Like, I don't.
Obviously,
anytime you need a detector of any kind, you can just invent a technology that detects that thing.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
They always sell them at Blockbuster, though. So
you're out of luck now, Kent. Sorry, man.
But you know what I'm saying? There was another time in the movie that had the same thing. There was another device. Oh, it was the devices that opened the portals. It was like a PVC pipe and like a oxygen tank.
Yeah.
The guy had like rigged up with it in the back of his car. It was don't you know what these do? These open up portals. But I thought that was just kind of funny, the devices throughout the movie that popped up out of nowhere.
She's a scientist, Kent.
So yeah, she said that multiple times in the movie. I'm a scientist. We know. We don't care. We don't.
So was Denise Richards.
And another part about her, you know, when like Thor and Loki are like driving the John Carter ship through Asgard, and like she's on the back of it and she's like sleeping or passed out or something, and then there's like a blanket and pillow on the ship, on the little like cruiser or barge thing. I was like, where did the blanket and pillows come from all of this? Because they were like in the middle of a fight and they turn around and see her and she's like covered in a blanket and pillows. It was like set decorator came in at the last minute. It was like, wait a minute, this will look good. Wait a minute. Makes no logical sense at all. I didn't like the ether aspect. Like I said, there's no true villain in this movie. Like,
no.
Christopher Eccleston is in it as the goblin somebody or elf or somebody.
Dark elf, but he does look like a goblin from like Harry Potter.
He's got CGI face and makeup on and a voice with like subtitles.
Yeah.
So really the only villain is Loki, but he's like not the villain for more than half the movie. Spoiler alert there too. So
yeah, that to me is number one. If I'm Marvel, or if I'm like consulting with Marvel, my number one thing for future Marvel movies is, can you please, and I think they're gonna do this with Avengers too, but we'll see. Can we please get a compelling villain? Because Loki in Avengers is the only thing that comes close to a strong villain in this franchise. That and like the Mandarin for the first half of Iron Man 3, and then
Loki and Thor too.
I don't like Loki and Thor actually.
Really?
I know that I am in the minority on that. I think they went, for me personally, with Thor, they went so far in the direction of trying to make him like a sympathetic villain that I felt like he was a little bit toothless. I really feel like Whedon gave him a lot more, gave him more bite in Avengers, and that was when he turned into a useful character for me personally. But they've got to find a way. They've got to find their Joker. You know what I mean? They've got to get something that makes, because eventually,
Vader.
Yes, and I think that will help. But I think if you only give us great villains in the Avengers movies, eventually, I mean, these are always going to make money, but they're going to run their course as far as touchstone moments of the movie calendar. If you can't find somebody that can raise the stakes a little bit and make it an interesting and compelling battle between our heroes and, you know, whoever the bad guy is.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we got a little glimpse at another villain in the post-credits or the mid-credit sequence. Did you guys stick around and see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. The Benicio del Toro.
Yeah. Did that not look like something straight out of, like, Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
It did. It looked like
had a
Guillermo
real
del Toro
feel, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of Del Toros in there. It felt like Joel Schumacher was behind it. It felt like something out of, like, Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Well, the nipples of the monster were distracting.
Right, yeah.
So that's what that sort of bridges the gap for Guardians of the Galaxy. Right there.
Is that the next one after
Captain America is Guardians?
And then after that is Ant-Man and then Avengers?
No, after Guardians is Avengers 2 and then Ant-Man after Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it felt like this movie really, it only, like Marvel was sitting in the conference room. They're like, all right, we need a Thor sequel, and its purposes need to be to explain stuff that happened in Thor 1 and the Avengers, and B, to bridge the gap to the next movie. Okay, let's do that and fill in the blank with CGI or whatever you can think of, and let's make it. And it'll be a $100 million movie on the first weekend, which it was 89, pretty close. So I mean, it's very formulaic, and it's not what I would expect. Honestly, I expect better from Marvel. You know,
totally. Yeah,
this is really This is the first movie that I do am legitimately not excited to see again. Avengers, all I wanted to do was walk right back in the theater and watch it again. Even even Iron Man 2, like I had feelings like that, you know? Yeah. And this was not at all. It was just, I the one thing that I left Thor 1 thinking, I was like, man, if we can just get, as long as Thor 2 will be fine, as long as there's no scenes that don't have Thor or Loki. Like there are scenes with just Natalie Portman, Stellan Skarsgård, and her crew doing some B storyline that nobody cares about. Like show us Thor.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's annoying. So if they make another one, I think Thor needs to be the centerpiece. Don't have any scenes without Thor or something to do with Thor. That's what the Avengers is so good, because when you're not getting Thor, you're getting Captain America, or you're getting Hulk, or you're getting Iron Man, for God's sake. So,
yeah, totally. No, I'm with you. You said, the closing sequence or the credit sequence kind of felt like Del Toro. There's other parts of this that feel like a Lord of the Rings. Like there, you mentioned earlier,
the opening before the Loki sequence. The opening was all just exposition, just like Lord of the Rings.
Right. There's a lot that feels like Star Wars, but not the good Star Wars. Like it feels like the prequels. Even the sound effects, when they're trying to escape Asgard in the those little cruisers or whatever, they sound like pod racers. And to me, the whole thing, I can't even call it lazy. I don't think it was lazy. I just think they didn't really know what to do with this. You know, whoever said it, you're right. It's like, all right, we got to do a Thor 2. Let's just see what happens. And I just don't feel like they had a good plan for how to execute this movie. And as such, you get kind of a meh storyline and a whole bunch of plot points and effects and visuals and everything that just kind of looks like a knockoff of about a dozen other things that were better, for me at least,
including Thor 1.
Yes,
I thought the Asgard stuff in Thor 1 looked way better than Thor 2.
Totally.
I don't know if I'm crazy on that one.
No,
I'm not
agree.
going to sit there and compare them side by side, but like I felt like visually stunned by Thor 1's visuals. You know, the Rainbow Bridge and Asgard itself. I thought it looked gorgeous. In this, it just felt dirty. And I understand that the movie's called The Dark World, okay? It has to be dark, okay? I understand, okay? We get it. We get that it's dark. Now, just show us cool-looking stuff. Like, I don't understand the need for, like, just grittiness all the time. Ever since Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, it's like every superhero movie that has come out since then, except Avengers, which was awesome, has been like, all right, let's just make everything really gray and raining half the time, which it rained like half this movie too. I hate that. And the whole circle above Natalie Portman, or it's not raining above her, but it's raining above Thor. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Too many portals everywhere.
Yeah.
Too much physics that they made up to just for this movie. They made up so many physics theories just for the movie. Way more than even like they needed to. Just like random physics theories. There are fun moments. Like when at the end, I did like Loki being Odin at the end. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I'm glad Loki's not dead. Spoiler alert there too. So I guess they're too scared to kill off Loki because he's the only good villain in Marvel's.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's the only reason I can think of to keep Loki around.
Right.
Like, well, at least we'll have him if we need him,
He's kind of like the scarecrow of these movies. Like, he'll show up in some capacity in all of them, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with that. I almost like Loki more than Thor. Honestly. If this had been Loki 2, The Dark World, then that would have been probably like this movie more. But yeah, so not a great effort by Marvel, not a failure by any means. There are easily worse movies this year. This is not even in my bottom 5 or bottom 10 probably this year. But it's just not great, but not awful. So, what is your grade, Richard?
B-.
Ryan?
I'd say C plus, and the worst of the Marvel movies. I mean, this go round, since whatever 2008 or whenever.
And I was gonna say that although I do enjoy Thor is my least favorite of the Marvel movies, and this wasn't even as good as that. So this might make it my least favorite Marvel movie ever.
Yeah.
Am I gonna go out on a limb there and say that? Maybe Norton's Hulk might be a little. I don't know. Do you guys like that?
This. Yeah, I would have this on the bottom for me. For me, I think it's probably Avengers, Iron Man 3, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man 2, Hulk, and then this one.
Boom. There you go. So yeah, my grade's gonna be a solid B minus. Yeah, 2 B's and a C. Not very good, Marvel.
Yeah.
Hopefully you step up your game for Captain America next winter. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's do the week recommends, shall we?
Weekly recommends.
So I want to recommend a stand-up comedy. We talked about Netflix exclusive stuff before, and I want to recommend a Netflix exclusive stand-up comedy special. Aziz Ansari. It's called Buried Alive. It's about an hour stand-up special from this past year. Really, really funny. If you don't know him, he's most well-known probably for Parks and Recreation, and he's done a couple movies here and there. Man, he's absolutely on his game in this.
Good.
This stand-up. It's one of the best. Brian, you'll love it. It's like he just turned 30, so like half his bits are just about like being a young adult, and like all my friends are married and everyone's having kids and like stuff like that. But it's really, really funny. I mean, even if you're not married or have kids, you'll think his stuff is good. So his delivery is just hilarious. I think he's probably one of the top stand-ups out right now. I mean, Louis C.K.'s obviously probably number one in all our eyes, but Aziz is getting up there though. I mean, he's pretty dang funny. I will give him that. He's great at stand-up.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it's good. I love his first stand-up act, which is fantastic. I just watched the second one recently, like I don't know, a couple months ago. Yeah, and it wasn't as good, and it really derailed. Like he had like 2 or 3 really good bits, and the rest. I mean, he's one of those comics that he's gonna go for. I don't know. He's probably gonna do 3 or 4 extended bits, and if that bit is not funny, then you've got 20 minutes of just like the premise of the bit is not funny, and so you've got 20 minutes to just deal with it. And so anyway, I'm glad to hear that.
Well, don't hold me to that if you hate it.
No. I'm excited to watch it.
I thought it was good.
And I'm hope. And if you say it, then I'm with you. I'm glad that he's coming back, because that second one was just kind of what really felt like he didn't have enough good material to go on. So
and what a better way to release a stand-up special than Netflix?
Yeah, totally.
Like
totally.
Louis did that like $5 stand-up special, and a lot of including Aziz and Jim Gaffigan and people did it too. Or even after you would buy the stand-up special on somebody's website, you would still have to have it like on your computer or on a disc or somewhere. You know, you still own the thing. But I think Netflix is a great way for stand-up comedians to release specials on there. So hopefully we get a lot more. I mean, it says a Netflix presentation and everything on there. So I think they paid for it and everything to happen. So that's awesome. So I recommend that. Aziz Ansari, Buried Alive is my recommend. So Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to recommend an article this week. The Sports Illustrated blog, the Monday Morning Quarterback, that's run by Peter King. It's kind of like I guess it's sort of their version of Grantland, if Grantland was just focused on one sport. But anyway, they published an article today. I can't remember the author's name, so you just have to search Monday Morning Quarterback, and we'll have Kent link it on the website as well. They did an article today, a long article on Sam Hurd, who, if you don't know who that is a former Dallas Cowboy and Chicago Bear, wide receiver who got wrapped up in a substantial drug bust, I guess, for lack of. I mean, he was attempting to import literally tons of cocaine from Mexican cartels to distribute all throughout the streets of Dallas and Chicago and widely across the NFL, which is the most not surprising, but very interesting part of the article. Anyway, this it's a long form article, but it really delves, and they talk to Heard and they talk to some of the other people involved in the case, but they also kind of like pieced together their own like timeline of how all this stuff went down, including several collections of audio from like the police surveillance that they had on Heard and his accomplices and whatnot. It's a fascinating read. It'll take you 20 or 30 minutes at least to get through it. But man, it's definitely worth your time. Even if you're not a sports fan or a football fan, it's just a really interesting article and really kind of eye-opening in a way, just to see how, I don't know. We all know that like we live in a culture that is pretty reliant on drugs in a lot of ways, in a lot of areas.
How do you think I get through this podcast?
Exactly. But it's always interesting to see. Like I always get a lot of interest out of reading an article where it really delves into like how many NFL players are smoking pot. You know what I mean? Things like that. It's just it's kind of an eye-opening thing. It's very interesting. So I'd highly recommend it, and I'll tweet it out tomorrow or later this week, and we'll have Kent put it on the website as well. But it's a great article that I would love for you guys to read.
We'll do it.
I did read that actually today.
Sweet.
It took me, like you said, 30 minutes or so.
Yeah,
I was going to
really
recommend
long.
it, but I didn't want to do another article. I think I did one last week or something.
Sure.
But man, what an interesting story. It plays out like a movie. It really does. It's like Fargo or something.
Yeah.
With him meeting at these random, like, he meets in a discount tire for half the stuff and diners, and man, it's really, really interesting story. And so I would definitely recommend that as well.
They do a great job of playing both sides of it, because you kind of can't help but feel a little bit sorry for the guy. I mean, look, I'm not in support of drugs, and the people who are importing them should definitely go to jail. But you definitely get the sense that this guy got roped into something that he probably wasn't really aware of what he was doing on all levels. You know, there's a gray area as to what Sam Heard actually knew he was participating in, and so you definitely feel a little bit, and he got turned on by every single person involved in his group, and that's kind of a bummer. So you do feel sorry for him, but they don't play that up either, which is always good, because I always hate reading an article and it's like, hey, this guy tried to murder 17 people, but we should feel sorry for him, you know what I mean? But they hit both sides of that, and I feel good about it. So good article.
Nice. Richard.
Yeah, I'm going to recommend a sale that's going on, as well as a certain movie. So Barnes & Noble until December 2nd or 7th, I don't remember, one of the two, is doing their Criterion, 50% off all the Criterion movies.
Yeah, nice.
And a new one came out today, which is one of my favorite movies ever. It's my favorite. I love Modern Times and I love The Great Dictator, but my favorite Charlie Chaplin movie is City Lights, and that came out Criterion today.
Nice.
So Blu-ray and DVD, it's $20 right now. As are pretty much everything is, $15 to $20 if you get it through Barnes & Noble. It's available in store or through their website. Great deals. Love those movies. Love those editions. Chaplin's the man, and that's all I got.
Sweet.
Awesome. Did you see that Sacha Baron Cohen Charlie Chaplin thing?
Yes.
I was going to ask you.
Very funny. Did you see that, Brian?
No, I didn't.
He won a Charlie Chaplin award from the BAFTA.
Uh-huh.
And so they bring Selma Hayek out, and she presents a woman who was actually the last living actress to be in a film with Chaplin. She was a child actress with Chaplin in 1931. And anyway, so that she's in the wheel, they wheel her out, and then they say, and this year's Chaplin Award goes to Sacha Baron Cohen's this very sort of hoity-toity event, and Clooney and everyone's in the audience, and Sacha Baron Cohen goes to the stage and he begins to speak, and the woman that hands him the award says, "This is actually a cane that Charlie Chaplin gave to me when I was on set with him, and I want you to have it." It's a very touching moment. She hands him the cane, and he puts it on the ground and kind of does that Charlie Chaplin move where he kind of leans on the cane and makes the kind of weird face.
Right.
When he does, it breaks, and he runs into her wheelchair and throws her off the stage.
Oh my gosh.
This 80-year-old woman. Well, come to find out, it's a stunt woman that he's hired. I think is a bit. But this lady literally launches like 20 feet into the thing, and people are just screaming horrified. It's like, she's dead. Like, she is dead. Like, she's so decrepit and old. Anyway, she was apparently in a bunch of makeup. She was only actually 60 years old or something. But she looks like 140, and it is so funny. But just the absolute shrieks from people, because kind of think he's up to something. I mean, Sacha Cohen, but this time you really don't. Like, he plays it so sincere, and it fools anybody if you don't know it's coming. And she just goes face first into the crowd in her wheelchair. And
did you guys hear Ollie G's coming back?
What?
Yeah, it's FX.
Awesome.
The real show is coming. All new episodes and everything. That's going to be awesome.
That is such good news. I didn't know that somehow.
Ollie G's incredible.
Respect.
Exactly. Anything else you guys want to mention before we get out of here?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right, guys. Until next time, we will see you at the cinema.
Goodbye.
See ya.
Goodbye.